Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham, and BK, I haven't seen you in forever, brother. It has been a minute.
Months.
Has it been months?
I was explaining to Jenny, I feel like I went to Newark early May. I don't think I've seen you since May 19th.
Wow, that's too long.
Live and in person. Yeah.
That's too long.
Way too long.
Well, I'm so excited for this one, and I wanted to specifically call you and check your schedule to make sure that we could talk about this in detail. I call it Lessons Along the Way.
Yeah.
Get it? So many people know this already, but if you don't, years ago, like I'm guessing over 2 years ago, Steve Klein was in the class. The first class, I asked, as an icebreaker, gotta love movies, right? So I'm like, first name, hometown, favorite movie, and he says The Way. And maybe it was for longer ago than that when he said it, but I know that planted a seed. And 2 years ago, I said, I'm gonna do this with my daughters. I asked them about it, would you be up for that? They said yes. So we started praying about it, saving up for it. And the Camino de Santiago, this is in this movie, it's Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. I've done a little more research, and it was a really cool thing that happened between him and his dad, because he directed the film. Emilio Estevez is a director. His dad, obviously a very famous actor. They worked together, and the thing that bonded them together about that whole Camino de Santiago, and his real name is Ramon Estevez, right? So from Spain. So just a lot of things coming together. But anyways, God protected it. We stayed, it's easy to set a standard. It's hard to defend one. And we just stayed at it and saved. And we had people that sponsored and donated. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to you that just saw it like on a birthday or like on anything. It was just, that's what we did for 2 years. And I had the piggy bank. And I'm gonna encourage people to do this, whether it be Spain or somewhere else, is just over time, gradually, like the stainless steel banks, you seen these? It's a box. It was hard to get into. Like, I thought I was going to go to the hospital because I'm mashing this thing with an axe. I'm hitting it with to get the cash out of it. It was hilarious. But it's like, hey, don't mess with it. Just set it aside and stay at it. But in a nutshell, exceeded all expectations. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So a little gist about it is, They say, whenever you see the remains of St. James are said to be there. Not they're said to be there, because there's stories that are not in the Bible about St. James dying, angels taking his body, and this is through research, and just check it out, and if I'm wrong, tell me. Not Catholic, I don't, and I'm gonna talk about that too, because it's not with Catholic roots, and that's not why we were there. So we weren't praying to saints, we weren't doing all this stuff. I'm what I would call a non-denominational Christian. It's Jesus and Jesus only. I don't call men Father, I don't pray to saints. Just to be clear, not to disrespect anybody that I'm great friends with. I did a lot of research. What do the cathedrals mean? People took time to explain all that with me, because I didn't want to be disrespectful, right? But this was, make no mistake, about Jesus, his impact in our life, advancing his kingdom, and time together with St. Jimmy, St. Rebecca, St. Sarah, meaning Christians are called to be saints. So I truly believe that in my heart. And it just delivered on every front. So for years and years and years, I don't even know how many thousand years, is that Christians have done a pilgrimage walk to Santiago, because they said the angels took his body, and there's like a ship of stone, and they delivered him, and then that's where they put him, and then they built this huge cathedral. The cathedral's absolutely impressive. And what I didn't know when I left is that when the Moors, there was a conquest from a Muslim conquest that was taking Spain, and there's a kingdom of Asturias is how it's spelled. Asturias is what they call it, kingdom of Asturias. It sounds like a storybook. It's so cool, the kingdom of Asturias. And they held off that conquest, stood and led the Reconquista to take Spain back for Christianity. I didn't know this. I said, let's start there. And we just happened to start in that providence, which was that kingdom. So that was just cool right off the bat. I was trying to piece it together, and very grateful that I didn't do. You can pay a company to build your route and do reservations. I wouldn't do that. Like, if I'd have done that, it'd have been catastrophic, because we didn't know. We just said, let's wing it, because that's part of the adventure. Had a couple hotel rooms here, apartments, and then a couple here, 2 nights here, 2 nights here, nothing in between. And on the fly, we adjusted it according to their needs.
How their body's feeling, how the equipment's holding up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do
I
we
like
want to
this
stay
town,
here?
spend
Do we like
another
the?
night.
Yeah. And that was a little bit. I wouldn't say anxiety because we just also planned it in June. I don't dig on heat. I don't like the heat, right? So I can't sleep in that. Like it's just a problem. And it's more. Their peak season is July and August.
Okay.
So June's a little cooler. Was expecting some rain. Come to find out, it was perfect. Most of the weather was perfect, meaning overcast. Overcast but nice.
Yeah.
So you don't need a jacket. You don't need a sun hat. Just go.
And your route was closer to the sea versus higher in elevation?
So yeah, we were instead. So I had done a lot of research, and this is do your research. Obviously, kinda, you know what I mean, and just wing it. Is that the Francais, as I understand it, I haven't done it, but that's the one I studied. That's the traditional one. Now the logo, the thing that represents the Camino is the seashell. So. Technically, it's supposed to be all these routes. There's over a dozen routes, and all these lines come together where Santiago. So everybody's heading to Santiago, but there are over a dozen routes. Okay. I was talking. I think once you get across the Pyrenees, because the Francais starts in France, goes through the Pyrenees, and once you drop down, as I understand it, it's a little more manageable. It's a little more chill, right? Walking through Spain's Kansas, right?
Yeah.
A lot of sun, a lot of flat walking, and then just get after it and just take bites as you can. So as we're researching it, we're looking at different routes. The northern route goes across the northern coast of Spain. The girls saw that and like, Dad, can we do that one? And I'm like, I just want to be with you guys. It doesn't matter really which route because I know what I want to get out of this, what I'm hoping to get out of this. And that's what we decided on. I am so glad we did that. It was unbelievable at every turn. It was way more challenging. So knowing that if you're planning to do, just me, this guy talking with, as now a suburbanite that doesn't walk as much and an American and with 2 teenage daughters, I would aim at 10 miles a day.
Okay.
And if it gets like this, I would cut that back to maybe
That's
7.
elevation changes, climb.
Yes. So if it starts doing elevation and all that, which it does, if it goes flatter, maybe up to 14, 15 miles a day. But that was just a good gauge, right? Because you can walk sun up to sundown. I wouldn't even do that. Because what we did is, you just got to stay at it. If you're going to do something aggressive like that and you've got a hotel, you can use that to push you. If that's the thing, it just wasn't the thing for this group. I didn't want to push my teenage daughters to where they were miserable, and I'm always, the drill instructor, so that's what I did not want. It was a little more like, do you guys want to go check out the beach? Yeah, let's go. Do you guys want to swim? Let's do it. And it wasn't like, let's go. It was like, hey, let's just go. And it was, whether it be albergue, which is, I think, hostel. Like a hostel is what we call it. Hostel is what they call it. And then they've got like albergues, refugios, monasteries. A monastery is run by monks. There's a bunch of bunk beds, and they just, they manage all that stuff. Think the more inconvenient personally on your personal space, the cheaper it's going to be. Might be $10 a night, right? Euro's not far off the dollar, so we'll just call it bucks. 10 euros per night, but you're going to be sleeping in a room with a bunch of people.
Right next door to somebody.
Right. Yeah. So, or with 3 people, you start taking a $15 to $20 room or bed, and then you start multiplying that. You can get a private room, so say it's 20, 40, 60, and a little bit nicer one where, it's still a bed, but it's maybe run by a family or something. $20 for a bed, but there's 3 of us, that's $60, but for $65, we can get a private room. Mm-hmm. So we did that a bit, So I wanted them to have a taste of, hotels. We just straight up need a shower. We want some privacy. It's in a bigger city. That was just a little bit easier. In a monastery, I wanted that experience, but that's like 90 some people. Mm-hmm. Not all in one room, but a bunch of people in one room, bunch of bunk beds, and then the other area of the monastery that have another one. So it just mixed it up a bit, and it was super cool. Started in a little fishing town called Llanes. It's Llanes, Llanes, Spain. Mm. Probably one of our favorite towns. And it was kind of point and shoot. Like, we start here.
Where did you fly in?
We flew into Oviedo. So it was from Denver to Dallas, the long flight to Madrid, okay. Short flight to Oviedo. So Oviedo is the airport. Then probably an hour and a half taxi ride to go the wrong way, to east, in order to get, to northeast, to get to the coast. And that Asturias was just impressive. Like there was just so much. It was so rich. It was so they have sidra, which is here cider, like alcoholic cider, mm-hmm. but not as much alcohol from what I could gather. And I was like, I want to look into this. It's different. So you learn this when you get there. And I did a little research because somebody said something. I don't want to be the ugly American and not know the deal. So We get there, we take a cab, on the sidreria, which means all the places that serve cider, you go in there and then you order a bottle, and it's meant to be shared. It's not you sit there and suck down cider, it's you get it for the table, and they come over, and you're not even supposed to pour it. They come over, open it, and they go way up above their head, pour it way down here and hit the cup, and as it fizzes, they set it down, and you're supposed to drink everything except the last bit and then dump that on the floor.
Okay.
It's like respectful for the makers, of the cider. And then she'll do that until you get to like the last finger in the bottle, and that stays as well. And then you get another one. And it's like, people are like, they're wasting it. There's some splash. And I'm like, it's like $2 a bottle. You know? And it's made everywhere. And it's very light. It's not, I don't know if it's got the same alcohol as beer, but it's just, I didn't feel anything. It was just kind of like a cool cultural thing, So that was very cool. A lot of seafood. I want to get to some of these. So this little thing, when you get to any of these routes, this is what you see times forever until you get to Santiago. So all the way into Santiago, and then we actually added the trip to Finisterre as well, and I'll talk about that.
Now, is that like a little ceramic tile?
They're actually, this is a little one that I got in a shop, but they're like this big.
Okay.
They're on signs with an arrow that says go this way. Now, in Asturias, I don't know why they didn't stick to this when we got to Galicia, because Galicia was the next province. There's only starting in Asturias that it turns to Galicia, and that's more like when they say mountains, first you're walking on the ocean with mountains right there, and it was gorgeous. Those are pretty like legit mountains. Once you go into Galicia and you're heading into Santiago, I would compare it to like the Ozarks. Okay. If you've ever been there, it's like very hilly, not small, but not like Pikes Peak, you know what I'm saying? But the way that these were laid out in Asturias, which I expected to see, was that they all point to Santiago, you know what I mean? So that means turn that way. They stopped doing that. I don't know if they got lazy, they ran out of money or whatever, but they only had it one way and then an arrow. They did, all these were kind of the same, and I forget which way they were showing, but then the arrow showed you which way to go.
Maybe that's where the leftover cider went, the sign makers.
I know, they're just like, hey, hiccup, like bubbles coming out, and they're like just passionate up there, like, you idiots, go put the arrow up. I don't be disrespectful. It was legit, and along the way, I kind of took notes in my phone, right? So I was like, I've got the lessons along the way, and the movie's called The Way, if I didn't mention that, with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. And it's worth a watch. I bought it because I knew I'd watch it again. When I watched it, I'm going to show this to my girls to see if they'd want to do something like this. And when I showed it, it's about 4 people just along the way on a journey to an end point, and they're all there for different reasons. And I didn't know if they'd get it because it's a little bit mature for them, and they loved it. Oh. And we were in tears, like the whole deal.
Now, you mentioned the phone. Did you go with a navigation-only type phone? You weren't there taking pictures, sending texts and emails, emergency use only type phone?
Right. So probably one of the best things I've done, and we're still, I took some business coaching, a year ago, something like that, and they were talking about a free day phone, and I wasn't able to do it. It means a phone, like when you're off, you're off. Now, Sundays, I've been very good at defending what we call green pin dates. Green pin means this is your family's time. So this time, my phone is just so connected to this business and to relationships. When people are hurting, I want to talk to them. So I might get distracted from my girls. So what I did is when I left, Parker took us to the airport, and I gave him this laptop, my phone, and my wallet. So I only took out what I needed from the wallet and a brand new phone, which I should have taken at least maybe a little over a week to make sure everything was good, because I was like what's the password to your whatever account, like goo, this one I thought I had this and it didn't work, and now it's sending it to an email. So different email, different phone number that nobody had. I think Abby had it, break glass in case of war kind of thing, it's like, or Rachel had it. Rachel could always call, whatever. So that was a totally dedicated phone. I went with a better phone because of the 16 Pro has a better camera. So I got the camera and all that. Once I got there, I pulled out these microphones, didn't have the cable. Oh. So it was all off, but it's got good enough audio where I don't think it's gonna be a problem. So that was amazing to just dedicate that and spend the first portion. Now that this is one of the things is committing to a plan with your young people and saying, what's the deal with phones? What are we doing? Can we be in the moment, right? And that conversation happened. Went back and forth. We landed on a plan, and then off we go. And I'll talk about that in the section that I call Dad to Dad, because some of the stuff is like, whoops, I kind of messed that up. So Dad, if you're going to play on this, learn from my mistakes. So let's just jump right in it, brother.
Yes, sir.
So we fly out there. One of the things, and I may put some of that stuff in there. On the way out there, there's a book called The Comfort Crisis, and I was on an interview before I left on where the host mentions the Comfort Crisis book, and the gist of the book is that our comfort is hurting us mentally and physically, right? So I saw your Go Ruck shoes, Go Ruck. He mentions that story about Go Ruck, about Kelly Starrett, I think his name is. Gary Ellis mentioned that dude. He's got a book called The Supple Leopard, and he's talking about mobility and strength and all that I believe the SEAL teams use him. But one of the points that just really resonated with me, like it looks weird, but if you go to a third world, you'll see a bunch of dudes in a full squat, like a 65-year-old man in a full squat, having a sandwich talking, and they'll sit there relaxed for 30 minutes, right? Most 65-year-old dudes I know, or this 51-year-old, cannot sit resting in a full squat.
And by squat, you're talking like baseball catcher.
Yes. So like your butt is almost on the
down
ground.
by your ankles.
You're not on your toes. You're flat-footed, and you're totally relaxed because you've done it your whole life, and your body will allow it. So even chairs and comfortable chairs. And like last night, for example, I slept in those mountains because why not? My family's out of town. It's 4th of July. I wanted to go. Just take the dog and go. I got some things I'm praying about with the business and about the future and vision casting and all that stuff. And I'm like, it's been a minute. Like the last time I did this, I probably had a different dog named Duke, a 120-pound lab, very masculine, manly thing. 51 suburbanite. I got a little 30-pound dog named Honey. She's a Labradoodle, and she went with me because I've got her, and it was fantastic. But man, you're creaking and you can't sleep and doing all that. But that's all a product. I don't have a sleep number bed, but people have a number, and they just that's the only place they can sleep. And Perry Saul, my brother, I say if you can't sleep, you're not tired enough. And sometimes I get it, people have sleep issues, but a lot of times that's the truth. It's like, man, you haven't done anything, So you work and all that kind of stuff. At every turn, every this, every that, people go to the gym and work out. They go, and I'm guilty of this, an air-conditioned gym to go work out and run on only a treadmill. Every time when you're running out here, we were walking on the trail, every time you slip, your body does a correction. You step on the curb, the grass, your body does all these micro corrections that you're not getting from just sitting in your AirPods and then running on a treadmill, And people are like, well, I work, it's like a substitute for working out. Work, like people, country strong, people are working and they develop different muscles. You shape them because you want to look good, but then I know a lot of guys that are very fit looking and they can't work, or their hands tear apart when they go to do whatever. So that's just kind of part of the thing. And it was really good to say, well, what's the answer to all this? And the author goes through. He's on a caribou hunt. The hardest thing he's ever done is packing out. I mean, it's like weighted.
All that meat.
And he's going through this, but he's got facts about all of this about comfort hurting us. And his solution to just as a synopsis would be to voluntarily leave comfort, just so you can, right? Pursue that to make sure you are that person that can go out there. And even like I like about cold plunges, there's a good thing for your body that's not comfortable, but you do it, you leave comfort because it might be good for you, right? And a lot of people like the easy things, like just don't do it.
I wonder if the guys at Buds wrote that book.
Right?
You were out of your comfort zone there.
And they rip you out of it to see if you can. Like when I watch those shows like Alone, and they're sleeping, or those Naked and Afraid, remember those? When you're looking at people like, what's his problem? Why don't you just suck it up? I'm like, man, have you ever been that cold and that hungry? Because I haven't, and I know that they're digging through something that most people don't possess, right? So I have a lot of appreciation for that. It's kind of weird, and that's the thing they're chasing, so it's whatever. So I just appreciate that, right? So that hearing that on my way on the plane to physically challenge my girls to leave, and they voluntarily did it, right? We had a discussion, and when you got teenage girls, 15 and 17, you're biting into their summertime. It's like, I know we said a thing, but this is 3 weeks of my summer, so I wouldn't say they were overjoyed with the thing. And now there's rules, and Rachel and I had talked, in that courting phase when you're gonna get married. I had expressed how important it was to get my children, future children, out of the country before they get to college age. I'm gonna change the world. Nothing about the world, right? So to get them out, I love and I highly recommend this if you're looking to do this. You got young people. One, pour into them so they are the children that would go without a fight, right? And I highly recommend, like if you go off to Disney or you go off to Florida, and we haven't done Disney, but we've done Florida. We've done like beaches, we've done Table Rock and all that, and they were great for what they were, but they were kind of comfortable. It was kind of like, it was like you're not, if you go to different country, different culture, different language, different currency, don't know where you're gonna sleep tonight, it rocks everybody out of the norm, right? So now you need a new norm. And it's gonna take about a week, a little less than a week for me to just, I kept saying this, the whole first week I was saying this, like capital this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. Turn it off. Yeah. My mind's going 100 miles an hour, thinking about this and that's like, stop. You are supposed to be right here studying these girls, modeling for these girls, not overdoing it, not underdoing it. If there's something you need to bring up, bring it up, but choose your battles, right? Like, and then win them. You know, so like one of the things right off the bat, you know, the phone thing, you know, we're doing this. Well, before the phone thing, we get to the airport and I had bought fishing shirts, like the hook fishing shirts. I'm, you know, at 51, I'm trying to protect my skin, you know, and you can swim in them, you can do all this other stuff. They dry really quick, we're washing every night. We're expecting some rain. Those are a good option for under a rain jacket because it's not the rain jacket on your skin kind of thing. And then hiking pants, right? Cooler weather, rain, all that stuff. Sounds good. They asked, can we bring shorts? Yeah, you can bring shorts, but I didn't check the shorts. So right off the bat, we're at the airport, and I just read people, you know this, and I'm looking around, I'm like, there's people and they're making comments about my daughters, and I get it, they're attractive and some guys are whatever, but it's not that. And then Rebecca starts walking ahead and I look and they're just inappropriate, right? They're just, I call them booty shorts. So cell phones and booty shorts, right? So it's like this. So I'm like, they're just, and she's like, well, I didn't know they could. I was like, I need you to go change your shorts, please. Will you please go change in the back now, right? So she goes and I ended up buying her another pair of shorts in one of the cities and all this kind of stuff, but I'm the dad. So this is kind of this thing. I'm very appreciative for Spain because I'd been to Spain, but I forgot. It's just more dignified. It's a more elegant kind of surrounding. So you're going to see people our age and older walking with their wife, and they both look very well put together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Button-up shirt, maybe a sweater because it's kind of cool out. Slacks. She might be wearing a dress. She might be wearing slacks, but they're just. And my girls saw it. So when we first get there and they're wearing these short hiking stuff, they're kind of getting these looks like, you know, that kind of. I'm like, oh man. And then something changes. They start digging the style, and they're like, look at this outfit, look at this outfit. So they ask, hey, there's these jeans we found, can we buy them? Like, because they had some money to, you know, do that stuff. And I was like, well, if you do, you're gonna have to carry them, because we, you know, this every ounce counts, man. Yep. So you know the deal. It's like when ounces turn to pounds, and they're gonna hurt, and you're gonna feel them all in your feet and your back. Oh, they're so awesome. So they end up buying different. So Becca bought like these really nice jeans and a white vest, right? And Sarah had a white top, and then she bought the exact same jeans. And then in one of the cities they go walking around, they get different looks. Like people, you know, like the older ladies, like those are beautiful young ladies. And I speak Spanish. I wonder if they're twins. You know, you're starting to hear different conversations. You know, just because and they got all done up, and they just kind of they fit. And it was just, and I tell them, you know, and this is one of the grand family sayings: don't worry about what other people think about you. Unless they're right. If they're right and you're being trashy, then that should bother you, right? There should be unsettling. If you're stealing, then they say you're stealing, that should bother you. Quit stealing, right? So that was super cool, and I appreciate it wasn't coming from Dad now. It was coming from like that. We joked about that public shaming, because all of the stuff we talked about. Somebody looks at you and you're doing something wrong, and everybody's looking at you like you're off. You're probably off, right? Yeah. And then you fix it, and now you're not off. And that I appreciate those ladies. Now, there's another thing that Jordan Peterson talks about, is that there is this, they call it the wicked stepmother syndrome, I think is what I called it, where there's older ladies that there's something in them that wants to they're jealous of beauty and youth. Yeah. So that's a different kind of shame. It's like, you know, it's like I'll work against you, and I don't like you, and I'll, you know, make fun of you, and I'll even whatever to reduce you because I'm so pissed that I'm not young and beautiful, right? Yeah. It wasn't that. I saw that, but it wasn't that then, right? So I appreciate those things. So that was super cool to start off, you know, get over. I went in on the first, it was a beautiful apartment.
Let me ask you one question
before
you
please.
do that. So you, as the owner, CEO, founder of a business, it took you 3 to 5 days to, I'm going to say unplug.
Yeah.
Disconnect from email, texts, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. Yeah. Constant communication you have 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. How did the girls do? Because I think that's a huge piece of their life. The communication.
It was both ways, but different, right? Yeah. So they want. We've trained ourselves in this society that somehow all of your people need to know that you had squid right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So octopus is big over there, poople, and it's delicious, whatever. But they don't even know right now. You know, and the deal that we made was you can bring your phones. turn off the cellular. You can use the Wi-Fi once we get to Wi-Fi at the end of the day. So, because it was going to be nothing, bring cameras or use my phone to take cameras, and then at the end of the day, you can check in with mom. But then they expressed whatever. Where we landed was, and I talked to Rachel about this, where we landed was they can bring them as cameras. Then at the end of the day, once we've got into the hotel, done the laundry, got everything taken over, maybe grab dinner, now they can check in with mom in the world and show.
Let's say they have an hour of discretionary time.
Right.
And they can.
And that was another thing, like as the dad, making that deal and saying, okay, after we get settled, let's take care of business first. Because if you wait till late at night and hang your stuff up, it will not be dry. Nope. Tomorrow you're wearing wet clothes or whatever, carrying wet clothes, which are actually heavier, and now they're wet. And if they don't dry during the day because we get rain or there's just no sunshine or whatever, you are going to be wearing wet clothes or stinky clothes, right? So all that. A couple times we got in early because it was like, let's take it easier this day. And we would get in, say, I'll call it a half day. We get in a half day, get settled, and now they go on their phones. You lost half a day. So what does dad do? Kick up the miles tomorrow. It's like, there's always those things where you're not trying to get by on them, but you're like, hey, we didn't come here to play video games and be on Facebook. You know what I mean? So all of that stuff, it took them about the same amount of time, just under a week, to where it just wasn't a thing. I don't want to be the guy saying, hey, phone, we had a deal, whatever. So I'm like, hey, Rebecca, could you put your phone down, please?
Did you happen to see, I'm wondering, it's been a minute since I was in high school, but the girls, it seemed there was a lot of noise and a lot of bickering and cliques. And did they mature and grow up over a 3-week period as they were maybe removed from a...
Absolutely.
Growth kind of.
Just to see them, we talk about this regularly, spiritually, mentally, physically, it exceeded everything. It exceeded every expectation, meaning physically, this is tough. I mean, it was like, you're 2 days
10
later,
miles a day
two
20 days?
with a pack, and we don't walk as much. You'd see like Europeans walk, like they walk to the store. So I just opened from my house, there's a Tractor Supply about a quarter mile away, and I take the truck. I'm like, why? Like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, it's quicker, I got stuff to do. It's like, how much really stuff do you have to do, today on a Saturday? So I have been walking since I've been back. I actually tailored a pack to get it heavier because I'm not walking all day. I've been walking the dog at night, 3 miles, all this stuff. I dig walking, that's the go ruck. I'm going to get back into rucking, more for like if you're not fighting for it, you're going to lose it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal for me. So I just, I don't know if they'll do it or not, but it's something that I want to keep doing because now I'm actually entertaining Christian in 4 years. Doing the Camino, and then even beyond that, right? So to see them physically in 2 days after a workout, that's when it really hits. Mm-hmm. Well, in 2 days, you're still walking all day. What about 4 days? Still walking. 10, still walking. We did take a break, but on the break day we walked 4 miles shopping. Yeah. We're just walking around town because you don't have a car, so you get a hotel, you do all that, and you're just walking. No pack, but that was our rest day, then right back to it, So mentally, the conversations you get to have just when you open up the window and you're introducing them to people, and it blew me away to hear them talk to people, even about our faith. Other people, they're just like, they're not happy with our president, they're not happy with our country, they're not happy with our God. Okay, and I want to jump in there and say, like, here's the deal, because I enjoy that, a little bit. When I see Rebecca jump in and start defending her faith, mm-hmm. I faded back and just listened. Yeah. And it was amazing. It was a 19-year-old young man from the UK. And he's like, oh, well, who says you need a God? All this other stuff. And even the deep stuff's coming up. And I'm like, okay, this is just my game, right? So we start talking about that pretty seriously. And as soon as Rebecca started in, I just kind of like physically walked away this way. She kind of came in here and I fell behind him and just kind of monitored. And it was impressive what was coming out of her. And Sarah's just drinking all this in and soaking it up because Rebecca's a little more like, confrontational. Actually, she'll take it. Not in a bad way. She's just like, I'm not backing off this, And afterwards, it was the fact that it was respectful. The fact that afterwards, he's like, "Thank you so much for talking to me. I've got some lot to think about."
You sure do.
Yeah, and you got plenty of days to think about it, on this walk across Spain. So that was a beautiful thing. And then spiritually, many things came up because of Catholicism, because of different religions, because of all that. We would meet people, and something would happen. And I want to touch, don't let me forget about this, about Tomas. I want to talk about him in just a second, but it was just unbelievable to where it would give me chills when I talk about it here in a minute. And I'll remember for the rest of my life. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. Let me just check my notes real quick, and then we can get to that. But
Did the girls say journal traditionally, pen and paper? Did they do it electronically?
They took pictures, and I interviewed them every night. So the loose agenda was in the morning we start with the devotion, right? So now if we're in a monastery, we got a bunch of people, we're going to get on the road, and then the first coffee stop, because there were many, right? I took pictures of my devotion book. So I would just go there, and because I don't want to carry a bunch of books, right? So I just went over that. I would say, what are you grateful for? Start with gratitude, read a Bible verse, read devotion. We'd just see there. We talk about it for a while, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. And then, all right, what are you going to do about it today? And then go, and then the next day. And at the end of the day, I would say, let's talk about the day. And I mean, I can already tell how these are it's gaining value already, and it will for the rest of my life. Me sitting, in the bed like this with two daughters right here saying, and then we did this and we did that. And it was just special because we just don't do that. In this time in their life, we don't just, collapse in a bed exhausted, pull out a phone and talk about the day, right? And it's just, and now I've got a bunch of those. So there's the thing that we're going to make in the podcast, but then also I'm going to have this professionally edited. But then there's all the data. And Dad wants that because I'll be the dude, like in 10, 15 years, I'll be there's my girls, right? And their kids will see it. So it's just, it's something about this adventure seed that I wanted to plant in them that I believe took. Because once you do it, you've done it. Now you know how this, I didn't want to be kind of the alpha males in my peer group and all that stuff, whether it be cops or fire, military, whatever. It's like, Dad's got it. Because you're gone so much. When you come in, you overly want to have the reins. The problem is your kids turn 18 and they've never held the reins. So I was like, you guys, it's like, we'd get there like, can you guys please go find out the thing with laundry, go do this. I'm going to get out the shampoo. I'm going to set all this stuff up. And can you please go find this out? And they want to get on the Wi-Fi, so they go find it out and broken Spanish and figure it out and communicate. They come back. Here we have to wash it, but there's a clothesline out back. Okay. We get all that. Got stuck a couple of times, problem solving. And now I'm like, what do you guys think we should do? Train systems, buses, taxis, like all that. Let's figure it out. How do we do this? And people would show up to help us. And it was that kind of thing. It was like real life stuff. And I don't think overseas travel now is that intimidating to them because they've done it, right?
Well, and I feel like through the years, these girls have grown up with the 5-gallon bucket challenge.
Yeah.
They've had to make do with limited resources in the field.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable for a night. Okay.
Yeah.
So they grew into this.
Yeah.
They were ready for some adventure.
And that is such a cool thing, is that the appreciation for comfort. Like last night, I slept on the ground. Thermarest pad that thick next to my dog in the mountains, and it was a little chilly and all that stuff. Tonight, I'm really going to appreciate my bed. Yeah. And it sounds really good, right? I know we're going to grab some dinner and all that stuff, but it's just that appreciation for what you have. When they came back, we couldn't wait. For me, it's kind of bittersweet sometimes when you end a long adventure like that because it's coming to an end. But we just reminded ourselves the icing on the cake is seeing Rachel and the littles, right? So Eden's birthday was a couple days after that, and seeing Christians, seeing them again, like this just kept getting better. It's like, oh my God. And then her birthday hit after that. And then now they're in Kansas City, right, for 4th of July. And I'm having time to dissect all this and just really just drink it in. But just watching these young ladies at 17 and 15 just conduct themselves, it was just so good for my soul, right? Unbelievable. So, we talked about the ugly American. The ugly American. Sure. It's some people didn't know what that meant, but the ugly American is just like Americans. Remember, our country's kind of up here. People put it on a pedestal for whatever reason. It is an amazing place, but you don't want to go and acting like that. And I've just been throughout my life. I've seen it. I've been it. I don't appreciate it. Like all that stuff. You want to be courteous. You want to do all this kind of stuff. I don't want to be that guy. But conversations like read the room. Read the room, just one example, and this isn't a dig at all, but for Rebecca, we were cutting back because we just don't walk as much. Some of these people are really pushing some mileage, and they're 60-something. So she's like sitting there doing 6, 7, 10 miles a day, and she's like, yeah, I thought it'd be harder at a conversation, Not a huge deal, but I am the authority for at least another year. Yep.
Then
Then I become an influence. So the time to bring this up is right now. It's like, hey, that could have been misconstrued when you made it look like it was easy when we're actually not doing the mileage they're doing, and all this stuff. She was like, I didn't think about that, right? So talking about that stuff, and we've got all day, every day to talk about it. The try Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, they speak English. Try Spanish. It's kind of respectful. And then say, oh, you speak English, and then switch, and they really will work with you. Even me, it's broken. I used to speak Spanish.
But at least you're trying.
Yeah. It's like if somebody was, just trying to, attempting to honor your language and your culture and all that other stuff, it is a form of respect. And they did a great job at it. And they dug it. They kind of dug the challenge, like café con leche, dos azúcares por favor. We joked about that. The difference with café con leche and cappuccino, the price. It's like, no kidding. The lady told me, she's like, I can call it cappuccino, charge you more and put a little more foam in it, or you can just have,
some milk.
Yeah, so they love like the café con leche, and then Sarah was like, 1 sugar is good, 2's better. And if you go overseas, and you know this, their sugars are like 2 or 3 of ours, right? So if you're putting 2 in there, it's up there. But the food was different, it was good, and I thought I put on weight, and I didn't. No. Like I thought we were burning so many calories, and we were just kind of eating like vacation, and I got back and actually dropped pounds. And I was like, it was pretty amazing. That emotional IQ that we talk about in our de-escalation class, what are you transmitting and how are they receiving it? Read that, girls, read it. What are they saying and how's it affecting you? They said something maybe offensive, maybe it wasn't intentional, but why is it triggering you? These are the conversations we're having times hours and hours and hours walking down the road, right? Body language, tone, and the words. It's like, hey, your body language is saying one thing. It's like, hey, Becca, I get it. You don't like what I'm saying about your shorts, but do you want to be angry the whole thing? Or do you want to shift gears? And within a week, we were just like, okay, now we're a team. We're together all day, every day. I know that's probably much for them. I'm digging it. I got a smile on my face the whole time, but they're like, Dad's here all day, every day. It's like, and then we just started forming up. And by not even the second week, all of a sudden something changed, and it was exactly what I was hoping for, right? When I want to talk about, this is the way, so in both Mandalorian, the whole thing, this is the way.
This is the way.
And in the movie The Way, he starts going the wrong way, and the guy tells him, he's like, Tom, this is the way, like all that. So that resonating and just saying, what popped up in my mind many, many times was what we say. It's like, show me. Like, don't tell him, show him. Just be with him and model something better for him. And I'm going, you're invited. And many times I went, and they didn't know any of this. I just did it, and then here they come, right? Whether it be a conversation, whether it be a thing that we did, a mannerism, whatever. It was beautiful shepherding, right? So this is how you shepherd. I'm going, you're invited. I can't make you do anything. I'm just going to do it, and it's the right way to do it. And then here they come. Okay, so show them they remember. Tell them they forget, right? That's just something that we say in tactical training. I put they're not wrong, they're different. And I put sometimes they're simply wrong. It just is. Meaning opposite of right, like right equals righteous. So if they're saying something not righteous, maybe it is time to speak up, and you can do that with tact and say, that's simply not something we believe, right? Oh, and there's this thing and these gods and all this other stuff. It's like, and listening and saying, we actually believe there's one God and his name is Jesus Christ, and then it's like, whoa. And then something happens and now we start talking about real stuff, right? So that was beautiful to see that as well. Another lesson, slow down. So like when I was on Mount Albert, you remember this from a long time ago, I went up at Mount Albert, horrible thing, cowboy boots, the whole thing, December, nobody knew I was there, all this other stuff. I kept falling down. And no matter what I did, I could not slow down. I was talking, I was recording, I was talking to God, and I just kept speeding up, and I could not slow down, so he'd put me on my ear. Never got injured, thankfully. Never even got hurt. We talk about hurt and injured. But like laughing about it, but I'm like, why can't I slow down? That pace on patrol, when you're patrolling, you need to go slow enough to where when people see you, it's a surprise because they didn't hear you, right? But then also when you're talking about this, you should be walking at a speed where you can see Spain, not 6 feet in front of you. Yeah. Like if you walked by the ocean and didn't see it, that'd be a shame. If you walked by and saw wildlife and didn't see it, that'd be a shame, right? So just, and whenever they've got long legs like their mama, so that when they step out, they want to go. Yeah. You'll actually form different blisters if you're constantly pushing aggressively like that, as opposed to just walking, right? So I was pulling the reins back on our workups, saying, guys, in Spain, I'm really going to pull you back because I'm already feeling those type blisters. So staying ahead of your stuff and then doing all that. But just like I kept hearing that, like, slow down. Be here. You're not in a rush.
Be in the moment.
You don't have an agenda. Right here. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. This is it. Be here. What about the business? Stop. And reading the girls and, knowing that you need to stop. Okay, let's put this stuff on your feet, doing all that kind of stuff. It was just, it was awesome because we just haven't done it in a long time. We talked about that part. Stay on the same side of the road as me. So some of the times get dangerous, meaning you have to jump on the road for a minute. Not long, but you have to connect the trail. So as you're on the road, they don't have the kind of roads we have.
Oh, they're
right?
skinny and
right.
narrow.
So this is, and they don't have many roads, meaning the supply truck for the store, which is a semi, is coming. And if another car is coming, there's only room for them, which means no room for you, and they're not going to leave the road, which means we are, right? So it means when I like to walk against traffic so I can see you coming, but on a blind corner, we're going to check and switch. So there's a little rhythm just so we can have a little more reaction time. If one car is going by, it's just not that big a deal. If two are, you hear one coming here and one coming here, we need to just pay attention and follow me over this rail if we need to, right? Or I'm going to follow you kind of thing. So that kind of thing was like a stay on the same side of the road as me, on me. If you're in front, because I would fall behind, here's kind of what we're thinking, and I will follow you. But we can't be split, because when some of these people are coming and there's two, it makes it worse, right? And some of these people don't slow down. Like if I'm going to go by a pedestrian, I'm going to slow down. Some of them, they're still cranking, right? They're just like, I got room. Those are inches off my mirror. I'm just going to go. But if you slipped on uneven surface when a car went by, it could be fatal. And they just don't really, many of the cars, not all of them, many cars, they just didn't really.
Well, I wonder how much of your motorcycle riding experience played into that. Because I've heard a lot of those words.
A lot.
In the pre-mission briefs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you're not thinking about it now, you'll think about it when it's too late.
Yeah.
And you're like, why didn't we do this? Like if they don't know, it's because I didn't teach them, right? So just that experience was very helpful. Slow down and walk at a pace that you can keep your head up. See Spain is, see that Spain is so much more than the dirt 6 inches in front of your feet, right? Okay, so the dad to dad. I wasn't thinking, nor would they, about, say, feminine products, right? Sure. You're leaving a town, and mom was like, hey, make sure you get this. And they're like, we got it, which means I got one little thing. I'll just pick one up on the way. No. Today there is nothing else. Mm-hmm. We leave and we walk all day, and there might be a coffee shop in the middle and then nothing. Oh, well, what am I going to do? It's like, uh-oh. So now we had to delay a start. Thankfully, in a town that did have a drugstore, a grocery store, that we could wait. Then it opened. Then we got our stuff. Then we went. But that's stuff that, for dads, it's not going to come to mind. You're like, are you good? I'm good. But what's the definition of good? You just got to check, right? So just checking to make sure they got what they need. Hair stuff, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Waiting for feminine products, hair products, all that kind of stuff equals to a late start, which might jam you up. So if you've got a reservation on the other end, you might miss it. Because if you get there later, they won't open the door back up. Because people, you have 50 people sleeping, and you're ringing the bell, they're not going to, it's like, hey man, figure it out. So that according to their needs. So I'm thinking these things are popping into my head, like the kids' book I just wrote, according to their needs.
Well, it's interesting because I hear you talk about comfort, and then there's a component of necessity.
Oh yeah.
There's something you can't do without.
Yeah.
And then I chuckle a little bit because like Jenny teases me all the time about hair product. I'm like, I think it's overrated because I don't use any.
Yeah.
I brush it and I stick my head out the window.
Yeah.
That's how we style. But girls,
they just need
like
the
style.
Right?
They like the fashion. They want it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
But for 2-3 weeks,
But the maturity that comes out when you say, okay, I don't want to be setting these paradigms so tight where I'm the drill instructor, right? Sure. This is not what we're here for. So they were like, I was like, ladies, can we get up at, can we get up at 6:30 and be out by 7? And then later we relaxed that a little bit. We went back and forth according to the next day. But one of the times I was like, okay, 6:30, out by 7, where it's taking longer to get ready. So A, I can make you tighten up, or B, what's the big deal? Nobody says we have to be out of here by 7. But then I asked Sarah, do you want to get up at 6:30 and then leave by 7:30? She goes, or we could get up at 6. I'm like, did you just say that? Like a 15-year-old that loves her sleep said, why don't we just get up 30 minutes earlier? And I'm like, oh, and Rebecca's like, whoa, hold on. And then we have to compromise and all that. But the fact that she even said it, she's like, let's just get up at 6. Like whatever. So we were getting to bed at a decent hour, getting a good night's sleep, getting up early, and then getting after it, right? And then we have a little more leeway in the day, stop for coffee, stop for lunch, stop for coffee. We're probably in town or near there, right? So to hear her say that and kind of take that over and just kind of thinking ahead was awesome. I wrote the flower, and did we talk about this? That psychologist told me about this, the flower of, tell me more. It's like, okay, it's yellow, it's got brown in the middle, it's got a green stem. More. Okay, dissect it really intense. So I pull off, and then I pull off the petals, and I go, they measure this, and then I cut it open, and I go, okay, now the green part, this is where the water comes up and all that kind of stuff. And then he says, okay, now put it back together and enjoy its beauty. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, some things aren't meant to be dissected, just enjoy for them. It just means you don't need to dissect and fix everything in your daughters. You just need to, your wife, just enjoy her beauty, right? So like that popped into my head, and I'm just like, every day I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I blinked and you were this big. Like they were the length of this because I carried them that way. Like crotch here, head here, and I walk like a football. They would rack out and slobber down my arm, and it was just like, and like 5 minutes ago, they reached that big, right? And now I'm looking at these women interacting professionally with these people with their head up, firm handshakes, looking them in the eye, and not intimidated. They're just like, here's the deal. You know, it's like, I get it. There was some confrontation on the trip where I stepped in, and I'm like, okay, dad's up, you know? Because that was like, I just saw my daughter being disrespected, and this lady was like, yeah, we got one over there. And it was just, she had a shirt on that said, in English, no worries, I'm here to help. So we asked her for something, and she's like, yeah, there's plenty. They're downstairs. Go find somebody, downstairs. And it's like, So she looks, and she's, Dad, I can't find them. It's like, hey, we want to spend money. She really likes the sweater, and now we're getting ready to leave. I'm like, ma'am, she's like, yeah, there is. I checked. There's more down there. Just look around. So we go to leave, and I'm like, pull out my camera, I go behind her. I go, excuse me, can you tell me what this says on the back of your shirt? Oh, yeah. And this is in Spanish. No worries. Oh my God. Because I specifically asked you twice to help my daughter, and you didn't, because you didn't have time. Oh, no, I can go do that. No, actually, we're going to leave now, so we don't need it. And she was like, I'll go get one right now. I know exactly where they are. I was like, well, she's had some trouble finding them. And then I go, Sarah, would you like the sweater? Right? And she's like, eek. Like, I don't want to say anything, And she, lady runs down and grabs another one, gives it to her, and then we're gone. Like, thank you. We didn't need to do all this.
The first time.
Close the deal, lady. I got money in my hand right now, right? And I'm glad she got it, because it just, sometimes something just works. She looks gorgeous in it. It's a little knit thing, and it's just whatever. But it was just like, that was modeled, and I wasn't like, you suck, and burn the place to the ground, right? And, spike a gallon of gasoline on the floor and throw my Zippo over my shoulder, right? But it just being modeled. Cell phones and booty shorts, we talked about that. The proud and dignified people of Spain, I really appreciate that. Those couples that were just like, that's an option, and you could feel it. But then once the shift was like, those are beautiful young ladies. I mean, there was communication, body language, communication going on that I appreciated without a word, right? And it worked. I would just watch these girls, and then they were like, if you ask them right now, really like the style. They mentioned some family in Missouri, and they're like, they are like the best dressed young ladies. So now they're aspiring to up their fashion game. And it's not like trashy, it's like nice. Yeah. So like, I didn't know that we're talking for hours and hours. Do you know you can rent outfits?
Yeah.
Like name brand. How do you know that? Do you do it?
I have a wife.
Oh, yeah, okay. There you go.
There
you go. To rent, lease, like these big name whatever, then do it, and then off it goes. And
like a big formal ball. You could rent the Vera Wang dress.
Yeah, that's okay. So I didn't know that.
That you would never wear again.
And these young ladies that we know and love, they're like in their 20s, and they do it. But I'm learning all this about friends and family and all this other stuff, and it was great. And I love that there are people out there, not the envious, not the wicked stepmother envious of their beauty. They're defending decency. Like these people with their looks and their comments, they're defending decency. And I could have been offended by that. I felt, it's partially my fault. Like I didn't catch it. And I should have been the one addressing that, because there's so many people that won't. They want to pursue the immediacy of right now. I want my daughter to love me and like me and all this other stuff, so I'm going to stop being her dad. Man, that just goes forward. So that long-term gratification as opposed to short-term gratification is sometimes it's time to open your mouth respectfully and just say, guys, this isn't the right way. This isn't the way you were raised, right? I wasn't gonna talk about this, but they checked me on one time, and it was, I loved hearing it. I said, because they were kind of going at each other as sisters, and sometimes that's awesome, sometimes it's a little much. And what I had said was, I just don't think about this particular word. I don't cuss, but I go, hey, Rebecca, you could talk to her, you don't have to bitch her out. Sarah goes, what'd you say? And I'm like, what? She goes, what did you just say? You don't have to bitch her out. She's like, what did you say? She asked me twice. To be clear, we weren't raised to appreciate that kind of language. And I was like, oh. And it was honoring, but tightened me up. And I go, okay, you won't hear it again.
That's my girl.
And I was like, it was kind of like, yeah, I was in the wrong. But then she was like, hey, that's not acceptable. I don't like that, right? And I'm like, okay, then it's gone. Right, so it was super cool to see Sarah stand up, and Rebecca kind of just gives me a look like she wants to fight. It's awesome. They're just my girls, man. Protecting your decency over verses, okay. Let your light so shine. So that's Matthew 5:16. Let your light so shine. That came up in conversation. just be that. Go, let your light so shine before men so they can see your good deeds, your works, to glorify you. No, to glorify your Father in heaven. Like, you're representing so much more than Rebecca Graham, than Sarah Graham, than Jimmy Graham. You are representing your God, your nation, this family, yourself, dignity, the right way to do it, which means righteous, all of that stuff. And that's the stuff we get to talk about and model and check and do. And it was just so awesome. Don't assume anything on this is the next one. Don't assume that they're taking care of their feet, that they're hydrating, they're going to bed on time. Like, sometimes they were in a room and I was in the couch because it was an apartment or whatever, and they'd mess with their phones too late. Well, now they're tired, so it's like, hey, phones off, please. Yeah. Or put them out here and charge them. That kind of thing. Hydrating. Sarah didn't put the little stuff. It's called 2 Tom's Sport Shield. You put it on your feet every day, and we got the 5-toe socks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jason Campbell recommended those, and they work like a champ because you get blisters between your toes, right? Yeah. So you can play the Band-Aid game and the blister game, or just get the very thin merino wool. But they didn't have enough cushion for my shoes, so I put 2 Tom Sport Shield, massage that stuff in your feet. It's very slick. Then put on the little thin merino wool toe socks, whatever. Yeah. Then put on the paca sock. They're pretty thin, but they're alpaca wool, just a little short sock. That gave me both the cushion and the little protection layers between the toes. Because if you went with thicker between the toes, that's weird. You know what I mean? So it had to be thin enough to be able to just protect your toes. I believe that if we all would have done that, at least in the morning, and then that nobody would have got blisters, period. But we relaxed that a little bit. Sarah got some blisters. Then I had her do it twice a day, and we were fine. Like, hey, midday, pull over, sit on a picnic table, I'll bust it out, get your socks off, take care of your feet. That's just kind of rule number 1. So I think that was a pretty good plan for that. But just don't assume, and just make sure they're doing it, because it's my job. Until they start doing it, then you don't have to. It's like, okay. She's like, okay, Dad, can I have the foot stuff? Throw it over there. We'd be grabbing water. She'd take care of her feet, and then off we go. Right? Okay, lessons from fellow travelers. Okay, now I got to bust in and talk about, I'm just going to jump, because I can't even wait any longer. Tomas, this guy Tomas, I highly recommend that you talk to not everyone, just talk to people, right? So half of it, you don't have to, walk with them for 50 miles, but when I would just introduce myself and I would talk to somebody, and in this case, would you take I go, un foto por favor? Like, and he looks over and he goes, in English, of me? Sure, like he was laughing. Larger than life dude from Poland, we find out. He jumps up, takes a picture, we start talking, and he's just out there just searching. He's just excited and he's happy. I smile all day. He's just going. Cool. Nothing more. Off we go, right? So then we're later, you're all kind of following the same trail. There's a couple like hard part, easy part, whatever. Some people jump with a taxi, some people jump with a bus. You can do whatever. Some people just strictly walk the whole way. So it's not unlikely that you're going to see the people, but some people, God just says, you're up, you're up. So we're sitting in another cafe down the road. He walks in. I go, what was his name? Was it something? They go, no, it's Thomas. They remembered. Tomas. He comes over. Hey guys. He goes, I was hoping I'd see you again, and it was on my heart to tell you about. And he's like, because he's talking about Jesus. We're talking about Jesus and all this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, he's the way. And he starts talking about, but there's also demigods, and there's this guy in India, and he's a god, and he throw up gold and blah blah blah. I'm like, what? So again, we're smiling, we're listening, we're hearing all this, and that's like, we actually don't believe that. We believe there is one God, and it's Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, he's the way. And I was like, yeah, I appreciate all that stuff, but no, thank you. Whatever. Just respectfully correct him on this, or just not correct him. This is what we believe to be true, right? See him again. We're doing laundry at a coin laundry thing, because the hand washing gets old after a while. You're like, these those are clean, and then you just need to get them clean and dry. And overseas, their coin laundry is on point. Yeah. Like it's even the machines, they spin them so hard when you pull them out, they're dang near dry. Almost dry. And now you just top it off, right? And everything, you put in money and everything's done. Where it's detergent, softener, the oxygen, OxyClean stuff, and when it comes out, it's almost dry, top it off, and then you're out the door in 30 minutes tops, right? It was insane. Anyways, we're in there and they go, isn't that Tomas? So I go out the window and I go, Buen Camino! And he's like, what the? And he looks over, he comes over, and he's like, hey guys, I never thought I'd see you again. We're like, hey brother, how's it going? And all this other stuff. And he's getting ready to take off again. I'm like, we're spending a little more time and just kind of chill out in town and do some shopping, and then we'll get on the road tomorrow. And I go, hey brother, can I pray for you? And he's like, yes, please. So I pray, and I'm praying that he would be protected, his family would be protected, that we would all be protected, possibly see him again, but that he would be led to Jesus Christ, and we would see each other in eternity. So I might never see him again, but I just pray that we'd see him in eternity. He'd be led to Christ and Christ alone, because I love him. Yeah. He starts bawling, man. Yeah. So he's just, goosebumps down his arms that are lifted, that you can see, and he's crying. Thank you. No one has ever prayed for me before. He's like, a guy when I went on the trip prayed on the phone, but no one in person has ever prayed for me. It's okay. And then ready to break, right? So he goes off, we go off. We keep going further down the trail. We're staying at like an old monastery, but it's across the streets in Albergue. So we go in there. We meet these people, and it's a father and a son, and he's about 10. His 11th birthday is coming up, and they just love the fact that the girls are with me, that there's a father and daughters doing it. So we come in, and it's like, there's all these bunk beds to the thing. There's this room full of bunk beds. I won't put anybody else in there. You got young ladies with you. It was just, and then they kind of start coming out with ice cream and cider and this and that and all this other stuff. And they're making us pizzas and thank you so much and whatever. And there was bunnies, and it was super, super cool to meet these different people. And they were all, this is one of the lessons, is they were all amazed that I was married to a woman with 4 children. Because they would say, well, how many moms? I said, one. And I get it. It kind of is what it is, but it shouldn't be that surprising. Yeah. Like, people were like, come here a second, calling people. They're like, he's got 4 kids with 1 woman. And they're like, you do? And they were like, it was crazy. And the girls saw it, though. The girls saw it. And it was just one of those lessons towards, like, I understand people's thing, but globally, this is a thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, to get to see it and to talk about it and to do all that kind of stuff was just one of those things of like why it's so necessary that we're pouring this kind of stuff into our young people, right? So now, one of the nights, we stay in this place, and this guy's taking care of us and doing all this stuff with his son. The next morning, it's kind of misty. We're walking back. This would be the way that everybody's taken, but it's really early, and we're walking this way. Well, in the mist, I see some people walking. And as we get close, there's a guy walking like this forever, so I'm assuming he sees us, and we get close, and the girl's like, it's Tomas. So he passes the intersection point, and we come up behind him, and I go, Tomas, and he's like, ah! He screams, because obviously he was so focused on what he was doing, he just didn't see us, and he freaks out, like screams, and he goes, oh, my pants! And the girls are laughing because they don't really hear that language, but it was so funny. We're all just laughing in the mist, and we just keep walking. And now we're talking and talking and talking. We just walk with him for whatever, and then maybe we break off, he breaks off, and then, over and over, we just come in contact with him, right? So we get to a point. So we get to a point where, we see him a couple more times, right? It would just be like you get checked in, you throw your pack down, you do all this, you take a taxi for a day, you skip a day, you do all this, and then you're walking through the middle of a square, and they're like, Tomas, and he's like, hey, and we start talking. So we just really cool, and talking to him and just and getting to know a little bit more about him. And now he's starting to talk more about Jesus, the people he met, and then. And at first he's like, I'm all smiles all the time. But then he's like, the other night I was terrified. And I'm like, well, what was that about? So we're just going deeper and deeper, and it took no time at all, right? Yeah. So what would be the last time that we see him? I now know this, but I didn't know this, is that he's sitting in a cafe. It's called the Bamboo Hut. Kind of funny, Bamboo Hut. And we're walking into town. I think I got my sticks, my girls. We're not going to this town. We're going to get here, then we're going to taxi way, way ahead. Because we need to make our timeline. We want to do the last 100K into Santiago. And what I later learned is he's in there talking to a woman named Beatu. She's beautiful. She's from Germany. She's an older lady. And they started talking, and she starts talking about Jesus because he mentions Jesus. She goes, well, do you understand? So now she's pouring into him, and he starts telling the story of he believes he met a man that claims to be an American. And he's got these 2 daughters with him that he's walking. He says it's of one woman. And as they're talking about Jesus, he looks up and starts crying because there's a picture of the Last Supper in this Bamboo Hut coffee bar, right? So he's out here doing this, and he's like talking about his name, Jimmy, and this and that, and he prayed with me for the first time ever. And outside is a guy named Luano that we also ran into many times. As right when he's talking about this and crying and talking about us, Luano goes, Jimmy! Because we just walked into town. And I'm like, Luano, buen camino. And I start walking up, and he runs out, hugs me, and says, I was just done. And he comes in, and we all come in there, and we're sitting in this cafe, and we sit with Beatu, and there's Luano and some other people, and we start talking. And he's staring at me differently, and he's looking at my daughters, and then he's crying. And he goes, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. And he goes, are you real? I was like,
Yeah.
I think so. You know, like, you want to pinch me? Like, I think I'm real. And he goes, because I truly walked for days thinking that perhaps when I saw you in the mist and you kind of scared me, it dawned on me that perhaps God sent you here and 2 angels just for me. And I said, he did. And he's just crying. I mean, he's like, there's a group of people and his tears are just hitting the floor. And I was like, that's what we're supposed to do. But it's not, we're not angels. It's like the Christ within us. This is exactly what we're called to do. It's like, we care about you, so we're going to talk to you, and I would love you enough to tell you the truth. And he's just like, it was just such an amazing thing. And then afterwards, you know, I paid for the coffees, and I said, hey, can I pray for you? And he's like, yes, I was hoping you would pray. Get up! And he gets the bar together, like, come here. The owner, these other people, we all gather up, and I just pray for everybody. And I just pray that, you know, that we would be protected on our pilgrimage, on our journey, that our families would be protected, that we would all, these beautiful people that are all here, we would see each other in the kingdom. And it was so getting glory in his kingdom and all that kind of stuff. So we're done. He's bawling. Everybody's like all like this, and then we go to leave, and we go to the taxi place, make a phone call. He goes on. Then he runs back. Hey, did you get a taxi? Because I found some cards at the albergue. And I'm like, we're good. Okay, love you, brother. Leaves again. And as we leave town, last time we saw him, as we leave town, he's out front of his albergue just waiting. And as the taxi goes by, he's just waving. And I cracked the window, Buen Camino! And it was just awesome. It was so cool that, you know, you line up so many times and meeting all these people. And now it's like, it's just a memory that my girls have where they're just like, that's what you do, man. This is what we do. It's like those, and then we kept talking about us. We're walking miles and miles, and he's like, did you see him looking at us? He didn't think we were real. He thought we were angels sent by God. And I'm like, you guys are. You know, it's like you are saints. Like Christ within you is a real thing. And it was awesome to see, to witness, to be there because we made the space for it, right? So it was unbelievable. Patrick, we meet this guy named Patrick, and he said, you know, it honored me. They're sitting, so I would say for the first time, they're up really late, sitting with a group of adults, having a conversation that's about real life stuff. We're having glasses of wine. They're not, obviously, but they're just sitting there with a Coke or something, and they're just listening but participating. And they're asking and answering just like adults, right? And this guy was talking about, he was like, he goes, ladies, you should be thankful, you know, grateful that your father would take you on something like this. And Jimmy, I'm sure you're thankful that you have daughters that would do this. And he's like, the first thing that I noticed about your dad, we met at a cafe, early morning breakfast. We kind of saw each other, said hello, and then left. And then later, now you're at dinner. But he goes, what I noticed about your dad, he's very vibrant. He's just there's a glow in him, you know, and we're already talking about this will be the light of Christ. And it's like, I noticed this glow where he's talking to people in this energy. And it was unfortunate I didn't get to meet him, and then we met, and now we're having dinner. And it was just so cool. They got to see that. Teresa, again, I just asked her, I heard her speaking English, said, where are you ladies from? Group of ladies from Scotland. She's from Boulder, Colorado, Golden, Colorado, rather. And we started talking, and ran into her again, and then the girls were kind of like, she was kind of like our Camino mama. I think she won them over because she gave them chocolate.
Oh, there you go.
Chocolate. And they talked, and she's like, can I walk with you for a while? So we walked for a while. They got hit by stinging nettles, which will blister your skin. It's just a weed.
Gosh, yeah.
And she explained what it was. We got it all cleaned up and all this other stuff. But it was just, and she just, one of the points she said was like, you know, during that conversation, it was hours and hours, but life's fluid, just like this Camino, life's fluid. Just, you know, take your steps and do all that, but be ready to adjust, just like you guys have been on this thing, you know. So that was something that popped to mind. Joe was the young man from the UK, and he was just talking. I explained to the girls that some people are just so consumed with their stuff, they don't have any bandwidth for other people, right? And he was very polite, but very challenging, and he just didn't want to hear he did listen to what we had to say, he just believed something else. But you planted a seed, and what's heard can't be unheard. Yep. And it was respectful, and that's how you talk to people. We don't have to agree, but as we're talking about this stuff, we think this, you think this, we still think the same thing. The story's not over yet, right? So for years and years, I mean, they're going to have this forever to dissect, and so does he. He was continuing his walk, and that was something that we got to again talk for miles and miles and hours and hours. Personal accountability to Rebecca. I talked about that when I was talking about when my language, just that one word, and they checked me on it. I really appreciate it, right? The First gear is slower, but it's stronger. So think about that.
Yeah.
As we're walking and doing all this, I was like, yeah, faster doesn't mean stronger, and sometimes we were talking about, neither one of them drive a stick, and I was talking about that. I was like, do you guys understand that first gear is actually stronger? They're like, but third's faster. I was like, right. It's times in your life when you hit like a valley, and to get out of it, maybe it's not fast. Maybe you need to downshift, just like we're doing now. Put away the stuff and focus on right now, because first gears, it might be slower, but it's stronger. And then you get that momentum, either past the valley or get up to speed, and then shift gears. And then we wouldn't have had those conversations had we not been in this situation. We wouldn't have been in a situation of explaining to them that term that we use quite a bit, is that spiritually actually drives mental. Mental actually drives physical. Anybody in BUD/S will tell you it's a mental game more than physical, right? And anybody that knows anything about faith would be spiritual drives mental. So spiritually can push you mentally to do things you would never, ever be able to comprehend, and then mentally will drive your body like you have no idea. Right? Like past here into that space that you didn't know existed. So just all good life lessons. So the highlights, getting out of the continental United States, that was a cool thing to see for so many reasons, to watch your young ladies come up and to once you do it, you've done it. There's so much more than what I know. Did I write that on here? So we come into Santiago, we're piecing our way. We did the northern coast, which is called Camino del Norte. We get through, when you get there, and I order these online. So if you're gonna go do it, order one of these online. It's from Santiago, so there's places that do this, and they send it so you don't have to go try to find one, because if you don't start in a big town, even if you do, where do you get it, right? So this is the mark of being on the Camino, of a pilgrim. So putting that on your pack, everybody's gonna see that, with the shells on the markers and the people, that's a pilgrim, they're on pilgrimage. That also qualifies you for those lower rate places, because you have to be on Camino to get a $10 room, right? I picked this up for my man, Steve Klein. And it's got the arrow, it's got the shell, and it's got the Crusader's cross on there, just a little ring to hang with it. And then it's got the Camino de Santiago. Not all of them have this. There's all different ones, but this is very similar to the one that I carry, that I'll have forever, right? There's many ways you can do it. You can do it on horse, you can do it on bike, you can do it on foot, right? So very, very, or a mix thereof. This year they changed it to where you don't have to do the last 100K consecutively, but we still did, right? So you could do 100K throughout the whole thing, then just walk into Santiago, and they're still going to get you. So every day, and this is a new thing, it used to be one stamp, you're going to get a Compostela. When you get there, order this, at home, have it before you leave. Your shell and your Compostela already have that. I would also highly recommend getting a guidebook, because I was in this all the time, because it tells you what you're facing the next day, where are the stores, where's the whatever, and this one was put pretty good. I would say this is probably put together by a professional hiker, because it was very, very aggressive. We were nowhere near the mileage that he was talking about, but it came in. I was in it, like I said, every day, adjusting on the fly, but we did kind of wing it. We didn't make a bunch of reservations. Then you're gonna get your Compostela, and your credential. This is called a credencial. You're gonna get it, put your name on it, fill it out. This is the last stamp. So they do the first page last. Every day, you're gonna get 2 stamps. So at the end of the thing, you're gonna have something that looks like this, right? So we each have one of these with our name on it, the date we started, where we started, and then 2 stamps per stop every single day as we hiked, right? To kind of make it official. This will get reviewed once you get into Santiago. You go into the pilgrim's office, they review it to make sure that you kind of did the thing. Then they give you your last stamp, making it official, and then granting you this Latin document that's 1,000 years old, and that's called your Compostela. So the Compostela has your Latin name. So from now on, you refer to me as Jacobum Graham. So Jacobum. So Jacob, Jacob, James. And then they have their Latin first name and then their last name, and they'll have it forever. So we're going to get these framed with some of this stuff to kind of just talk about this with a bunch of the pictures telling the story. And it's just cool. I don't know anything that's, that's really like it, that has that kind of, again, with that, Asturias, with that history, you're going to see statues of a king holding a cross at a bay. When people came in on ship, it says, we were challenged, like we were, this conquest was coming through, but we stood and we trusted in God and we won. And then we took back our country. So as you go along your Camino, consider doing the same. It's like, this is legit. So we just stopped right off in it, from Asturias to Galicia, and seeing all of their customs, their cultures, and their food, and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely amazing to get out of the country, different culture, language, currency, schedule, everything. Another highlight, Becca boldly defending her faith with that conversation that was a little bit confrontational, you know. The bamboo hut, that whole thing, I thought God sent you for me. We said, He did. So we completed in Santiago. And then we didn't plan on doing this, but along the way we were talking to people, and they would say, "Are you going to Finisterre?" So Fini means end, and terre means land in Latin, right? So Finisterre means, and they call it Fistera as well in Spanish, but Finisterre is the end of the world. So in Roman Empire days, they thought it was the furthest west point. It's not. Evidently Portugal's a little further, but they thought Finisterre. As they look out west, the sunset, and there's nothing. There's out there somewhere, there's a waterfall that goes to hell, and there's nothing else. But as we know, there's America. There's all these other things, there's all this future. So it's been customary for a lot of people to finish their Camino at the ocean. So they walked 3 more days. We didn't have that schedule, but we made the decision to say, let's go to Finisterre. So we got a bus. We jumped on a bus, went, 2.5, 3 hours, got there, and I'm so glad we did. So another guy was like, well, it can be tricky getting out of there, so I'm not going to go, right? And we're like, okay, cool. We're feeling called to go. So we went, got out there, and then as we're walking out, it's like 10-something, sunset's like 10:15, 10:20 at night. We're walking out there, and we said, we're not going to, we were in the ocean, we're swimming and all that stuff, we need to go because it's a little further than I thought. So we're walking maybe 2 miles. We're walking out there, and for whatever reason, I'm talking to the girls and thanking them, and I kind of rub Rebecca's shoulder, and she grabs my hand, right? And I don't know, I hope you still hold hands with your 17-year-old daughter. I don't even know when we stopped. Yeah. I just know that we don't. And then she didn't let go. So I'm going to guess the last quarter mile to the lighthouse, she's holding my hand. And I'm praying to God that she doesn't let go, right? So we get up there, you see the lighthouse going, and you see hundreds of people out here on these cliffs just waiting for the sun to set. And we walk out on these cliffs, we find a spot. Everything's taken. I go, how about that rock? So we go out on this rock, we sit down. We're all just sitting there. It's a little cool. We got our jackets on. And as I pull out my phone to start recording this moment, 2 dudes walk over my shoulder and start playing bagpipes. And I'm like, this is like, what is happening right now? This is, I'm emotional. I'd already been crying times, I don't know how many times. And now I get these dudes playing bagpipes. And then there's a tour boat down there. You see that coming down there, and the sun's coming down, and people are singing, and I'm just like, this is so special. And I'm just praising God and thanking Him, and we watch the sun go down at the end of the world, right? It's like, okay, girls, you want to go back and maybe get some ice cream or something, and so we knew we were going to be up late. We start walking back. I hug both of them, and I'm just like, this is so special. Thank you so much. And then they just kind of stay there. So we walk like this. It's a narrow path, so it doesn't even fit, so they're kind of in the weeds. And I milk about another quarter mile out of that. And then we start adjusting, so Becca walks off, but then Sarah had already seen Rebecca, so she holds my hand the entire way back to town. Right? And if you're a dad in this situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I am just like, I don't even want to sneak a video. I did end up sneaking a video, but I don't want it to end. So maybe if I record her, she stops. So I'm just walking with her, and we're just talking about anything and everything. And it's dark now, and Dash 2's just got my hand, and we're just walking. And then she busts me, and she's like, but then I was like, oh, now she's gonna let go, and we don't. We go all the way back to Finisterre. We get over there, and then we get to town, and the next day, we've already got a reservation back in Santiago, which is like 2.5 to 3 hours by bus, or roughly an hour by taxi. Yeah. So I look at the bus schedule, and all the buses today are full. All of them. I'm like, well, that ain't good. I was like, well, that's okay. Becca gets sick on the way up here anyways in the bus. We'll just take a taxi and pay a little bit more. No taxis. We're at the taxi stand. I go, when do the taxis? He's like, there are none. He's like, there's a number. And I go, well, can I call the number? He goes, no, the number makes that phone ring by the sign that says taxi, and nobody's here. It's like on the best day, there's 6. On the worst day, there's usually nobody. I'm like, I didn't think about that. It's been a while since I've just been dead in the water stuck. Yeah. Like stuck, right? And then we fly out of there, right? So I'm like, oh. So all I can think about it, I go, okay, perfect opportunity. Girls, bring it in. So we're I remember exactly where we're, right by a little cafe, bring it in. We hold hands, we just pray. Father God, if you want us here, keep us here, because there's a reason. Yeah. If you want us there, get us there. But it's in your hands. We're not going to freak out about it. We're going to have lunch. Yeah. We trust you with that. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. So Ready? Amen. We go in there, we have some lunch. I'm thinking, what can I do? I text the guy, I go, maybe the only dude I know of in this town is the guy I've been texting about the room. Never met him, just checked in with him. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, am I missing anything? No taxis, no bus? He's like, sorry, that's all we got.
Oh gosh.
Okay, well, I'm gonna finish lunch and we're just gonna trust God with this. So we're sitting there and Rachel goes, Rebecca, my phone goes off again. Right as we finish up and it's like, or we're eating and the food comes and I'm like, let's enjoy your lunch. We'll be fine. Phone, look at it again. He goes, I'm sitting here with my 21-year-old nephew. Taxi would be $100. He'll do it for 70. Like, can he meet us in an hour? He says, perfect. Okay. Oh. And then Rebecca goes, I bet his name's Jose. And I go, that guy's name's Jose. And she goes, okay. And I go, what's your nephew's name? Jose. Like, it was just this cool thing to where like, guys, enjoy this. We're fine. He shows up. We have this amazing conversation going back. He doesn't speak a lick of English. I'm talking to him in Spanish. He likes rally car stuff. He likes MMA. He loves the Fast and Furious movies. Honestly, he's trained to be a firefighter. Just a solid young dude. I start talking about the importance of being a good father and a strong father and adventure with these young girls and all this stuff. And we're just locked in conversation. It seems like we're 10 minutes. We're back to Santiago, back on track to knock out some shopping, and then to be ready for tomorrow's flat out. And that went swimmingly well. We did some shopping. That's where that thing with the, hey, here to help thing happened. And then we pile on a bus in the morning, and then we're heading back home. And then the icing on the cake is, another lesson, because it's like they didn't stop. Go to customs, and you've heard me talk about a line and the discipline it takes to wait in a line. Mm-hmm. Everybody's gonna miss their flight, everybody's late, right? And now it's like people are like, but I'm gonna miss my flight. So they're pushing through, people have to fight and stab, and they go through, and it's just like, ladies, is it worth our dignity to just, are they more important than us? So if we miss our flight, we'll figure it out. But we're not doing that. So like all of these are just lessons, and we know we're gonna miss our flight. So we get there, and flight says, next flight, delayed. So it gets delayed, we don't miss it, we walk right on, we're like, and Sarah even says, okay, God will figure this out just like he did in Finisterre. Yeah. So let's just stay here and just be decent, and God will take care of us. And then he did once again. So yeah, it's like to live that lesson with them, and then hear Sarah right after that saying, hey, just like we just did, like this is what we do, Dad. I'm like, yeah, okay, we miss it, we make it, whatever, and then here we go. And even if we would have missed it, okay. We planned on getting in at like 2 in the midnight, 1 in the morning, ended up being like 2 or 3 or something like that. And we get up, here comes Rachel, here comes Eden. Christian was out, so whatever. And then back to our family. It's like, I'd say, it's bittersweet. Many times, as you know, when you finish an adventure, it's bittersweet. And this one wasn't. It's something about 2 straight weeks of hiking, like 3 weeks. I didn't want this to be over, and it's not. Once you share an adventure with people, something happens. You're just different, right? And that just happened with my ladies, right? And especially with Rebecca being 17, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But this one, it was time to come home. It was time to see my other kids, my wife, to just appreciate this. Then I got to focus on them for a bit of time until they took off for Kansas City, and then I really needed to jump back into work and just assess what's going on, and then just pray for the future of this business. So that's where we're at right now. And they just went out in the mountains and prayed, and just, we talked about being too busy driving to stop for gas. It was good. It was so good. So all right, that's a lot, brother. What do you got, man? What is it from all of that?
Well, I'm excited because I've been around these young ladies since they were single digit.
Yeah.
And especially Rebecca, very mature, headstrong. She's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Sarah, the fact that I have to stand up really straight and on my tiptoes to look her in the eye, I can't wait to see them again, because I know they have changed for the better.
Yes.
Those young women have grown up.
Yeah.
And grown into themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And that just doesn't happen unless they're over there. And then what I would love to hear from them when they're out on these walks, it's easy. Throw in the ear pods, put on the music. But did they choose to let the antennas go up and hear what he had to say? Because that would really, on a walk like that, on a pilgrimage, that'd be life-changing.
They truly did, and that was impressive. Yeah. Like to just, and for me to know that it can be done, to see my girls together, like I don't know how many videos I've got of them just they're teasing each other. I was like, hey, no more pushing, because they would do the old trip thing. You have packs on and we're on downhill gravel. Like, and this changes the trip when you get jacked up, whatever. So I just got the guys, let's be a little wiser about this or whatever. But to see them interact and on a closer personal note, to see them interact with their mother. So like, it's different when me and Rachel talk, it's husband and wife, right? Yeah, so there's we got, everybody's got their thing. But to see my daughters talking to their siblings back home and their mother while I'm over here. So I'm kind of out of the picture, but I'm fly on the wall. Rachel is an incredible mother, incredible world-class, top-tier mother. She's being light, she's being funny, they're talking, they love their mom so much, and they should. She loves her babies so much, and she should. There's tears when they left, there's tears when they came home. It's like part of her heart was gone. And just seeing all that just refreshed everything that I married her for, right? It was just like, this is good, right? Of course I miss her, of course I miss my littles, but to see, they've got a special thing going, right? Yep. And even the kids, seeing how much they love their brother. How much they encourage him. Man, that's a good looking hat. Where'd you get that? Man, you're a handsome little dude. And he's just like, and it's so intentional. And he's like, I miss you guys so much. And what'd you do today? Did you go to the beach? And then, Eden comes on and she's just a wild card and she's just so confident and they just love her so much. And we would just be like hanging out in the evenings and be like, hey, check out this old video of Eden. And they love their sister, right? And it's just, Rachel and I set out a goal a long time ago that they would want to, raising our kids in a way where they want to come home and they want to be with each other. But now I gotta go back for Thanksgiving. Like, I can't wait to see my family. Or I can't wait to see Sarah. Oh, Rebecca's coming in town. Like all of that. It's just, we're seeing it,
And I wonder how the Sunday dinners are. Now that everybody's back, it's like, there's a value to that. They understand like, oh, that.
Yeah. And another thing was like, how much their friends love them and vice versa. They're like, oh, I'm counting the days till you get back. And I'm hearing all this because they're, and they're like, oh, it's sweet to have a solid group of young people that are coming up with your girls for years and years and years. And they just really do enjoy each other. And it's like, it's so funny. I'm hearing stories from them about Rebecca stepping up. Like there needed to be a return or something and Sarah had to return it for her friend. Her friend's like, I ain't doing that. That's kind of confrontational. Sarah's like, what? Give money back, whatever. And then Rebecca, same thing. She's just like, she's bold. Like they find safety in Rebecca. Rebecca is some of these girls' safe place. And I'm like, man, that's incredible. So good. So yeah, it'd be good. When we get the, I've got a video that's going to be edited and a book, and I can't wait to pull that out, forever, and have them go back there, remember, and then add to it, and then hearing them tell the story about Tomas, about Teresa, about Patrick, about all these people, I was like, yes.
And it will be interesting, much like the devotional. You read it in the morning, and then when you read it at night,
yes,
somehow it's different. They're going to see the videos, they're going to read the book. Oh.
Yes.
Like pieces of the puzzle get filled in.
Yes. Like every significant adventure we've been on, like the longer ones, not significantly long ones, they've gotten better every year. Like I feel it again when we talk about it. When I see the picture, when I see the trailer, when I saw that, it takes me back there. And now they see the formula. Yeah. Whew, all right, Camino de Santiago. It was the Camino del Norte. So we started in Llanes, went all the way along the coast for over a week. Then jumped a little bit and landed in Baalmonte, which is basically the 100K mark. There's a restaurant there called the 101 Kilometer Cafe, excellent food. And then we just started walking from there. So we did over 175 miles. They did amazingly well. We stayed with, nobody got hurt. We took care of our feet, did all that kind of stuff. And then I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you're going to consider this, leave time for Finisterre. Don't get stuck there. I would get your bus tickets before you leave and make sure you're on that bus or line up a taxi or do something, but it's well worth it to go out and see the end of the world. It was special. It was quiet. Like I said, bagpipes coming in, all that kind of stuff. And the significance of, ladies, there is so much more out there. We think we know something. Yeah. There's so much more for you to discover, and I can't wait to see what it is. Right, and like I said, as a proud papa, holding the hands with my ladies and pouring into people and coming back spiritually, mentally, and physically stronger, I am beaming. I'm just beaming. So Grand Slam. So thank you. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you, everybody. Anybody, like even if you're in this program, all this stuff, I am growing. As I said before I leave, Able Shepherd, Able Nation, Risers, Ignition, they all get better if I get better. Well, define better. It means, man, closer to God, not just saying it, living it. Right? I told Parker before I left, as we were talking about improving the company and what the vision looks like, that's like, you can't fully teach what you don't truly live. Not perfectly, but increasingly. I'm not perfect, obviously, but as you grow, it's together. That's one of the things I've been putting together recently. Is like, it's so much better when we do this stuff together. Yeah. Everybody's like, well, why aren't men doing it? It's like, man, I get it, but I don't know most of the guys in my circles. It's not that they don't know the answer, know what to do. They're simply not doing it. I think a key to that is through adventure and doing it together. Any final wise words of wisdom, brother?
I don't know if they're wise, I don't know if they're wisdom, but really proud of you, because I know this seed in my mind was planted at Centennial in the COVID days.
Yes.
When we had access to the Statesman's Club and Steve and Al. It may have been one of the first 3 video podcasts we did.
That's right. So this is years and years.
Years in the making. With a couple supplemental, maybe 3 or 4 in the middle of equipment prep, route prep. So it takes a lot of determination to plant that seed and water it drop by drop, day by day. And convincing 2 teenage girls, hey, you're going to be gone for a couple weeks.
Yes.
That's a big ask.
Yeah.
For anyone.
Yeah.
But especially somebody that has such a strong friendship group like they do. So the rewards coming home and the experiences you get to take for eternity out of this world.
So yeah, that would awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that affirmation and validation. That would have been 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And about 2 years ago, we made it the statement and then started saving and planning. And this is the one thing about a year ago that just don't miss this. It wasn't just the Camino in this 3 weeks. It was Sunday after Sunday after Sunday of the time planning, of messing with gear, of going on hikes, of doing all that stuff to get ready for it that just simply wouldn't have happened, right, if Steve hadn't mentioned a movie and planted a seed and then we discussed it and made a decision. So a standard is easy to set, it's hard to defend. Once you do it, defend it. Even if it's not Spain, commit that time. And I've just, thank you to my mentors, because when I hear you say it goes by fast and make sure you capture these moments, I listen, right? So that was our attempt at this. And thank you, God, thank you, Jesus, that this was in your will and you allowed it and defended it, and I'll have it forever. Yeah. Amen. All right. God bless you guys. Be looking for this. There'll be a professionally edited. I already talked to Moto Mike, so we're going to kick it up to that level, right? And just go for it, and we'll get that out there and we'll share that with you. But until we see you again, we love you. God bless each and every one of you. Take care of one another. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again for another episode. Please be sure to follow us and support us on all of the social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of that starts by visiting ableshepherd.com.